A few days ago, I posted a video detailing how a Muslim apologist got caught posting a fake video of him supposedly debating ex-Muslim Ismail Youssef, who you probably saw on Pints with Aquinas. I won't rehash the entire thing here, you should go back and watch that video, but in short, there was an Instagram reel of this Muslim apologist, quote unquote, debating with Ishmael, except the Ishmael in the video didn't sound at all like him. It was just a static picture of his profile picture. And the entire claim of the video was that Ishmael is a fake ex-Muslim. He's just claiming to be an ex-Muslim to add credibility to himself. But through questions that come out in the quote unquote debate, it's proven that he's not actually an ex-Muslim. Ishmael rightly called this out and said, "This is obviously not me. Take down the video." They had DMs going back and forth that Ishmael posted where the Muslim apologist even admits that the video is not really him, but he didn't know who he was. Yada yada yada, but he refuses to take the video down and demands to talk with Ishmael publicly. Ishmael obviously doesn't want to talk to him publicly because if he's lying about this, he will probably lie during a public conversation or produce some deceptively edited version of that conversation. So I post that video. Many of the comments are like, yeah, this guy's a known liar, so this isn't really surprising. I had never heard of him before, so I didn't really know what to expect. But he actually showed up in my live stream calling me a liar, saying that I've lied about his name and that he demands to speak to me and he wants to debate me now. Just real quick, here's how that went down. What's up, man? How you doing? God bless you, brother. I didn't, if you want to name a lie that I said in my video about you, then you can go ahead and name the lie, but I didn't say anything that wasn't true. The video you posted showing you supposedly talking with Ishmael wasn't really Ishmael, which you've acknowledged, and you haven't taken the video down. I just think it'd be good to take the video down. If I had a video up that showed me talking to somebody and it turns out that wasn't that person, I wouldn't want to deceive people, so I'd probably just take the video down. But it's all good, man. So I'm obviously not going to have a public conversation or debate with somebody who is known to be dishonest because similar to Ishmael's concerns, I don't want this debate to contain, falsehoods that confuse people or for the debate itself to be deceptively edited. That doesn't seem like something that would be unusual for this guy to do, so why would I put myself in that position? That doesn't make any sense. But what's even worse about this is even though he knows the video of him, quote unquote, debating with Ishmael, who was not actually Ishmael, he knows that that is fake. He's admitted in DMs that that is fake. He is still going with the lie that Ishmael is a fake ex-Muslim. So he posted a reel recently where he's refuting what he says, quote unquote, ex-Muslim in his caption, Ismail Youssef on the Pints with Aquinas podcast. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so I just went to his page to find the reel that I wanted to show you. But there's another reel of a fake picture of Ishmael and this Muslim apologist arguing with an ex-Muslim who he proves is not an ex-Muslim by asking him some question that stumps him or something. I'll just show you that real quick, but this is obviously not Ishmael. So this guy is just straight up lying again.
You said you're an ex-Muslim?
Yes, sir.
Have you made wudu before?
Yes.
Okay, while you were making wudu, how many rakat did you do? 2 or 4?
What's the definition of a rak'ah again? Anyways.
Okay, so this seems to be a fake, seemingly AI-generated image that is trying to look like Ishmael, but it's obviously not him. His voice doesn't even sound like him. So, why are you doing this? This is just embarrassing at this point. But that's not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you another example of this guy lying.
This dude claims to be a proper ex-Muslim. Let's see what kind of argument.
So again, he says ex-Muslim in the text on the screen there, claiming that this is not an actual ex-Muslim. Yet to this point, he hasn't provided any evidence that he's not actually an ex-Muslim. If you watch the interview of Ishmael on Pints with Aquinas, he quotes the Quran, he quotes Hadith through the entire time. He seems like he's very fluent in Arabic. He even responded to one of this guy's earlier reels by quoting the first verse revealed to Muhammad in Arabic. Seems like the guy is actually an ex-Muslim, but he doesn't believe that, hasn't provided a good reason that that is not true, but he just keeps going on with this lie. So let's see what he says.
Aisha was 9 years old when they consummated their marriage. And people can say that, oh, it's a different time and place. There's an issue with that.
And of course, he goes to the age of Aisha. You know what's interesting though? This guy did this podcast on a platform that praises Thomas Aquinas. Let's see what Thomas Aquinas has to say regarding the age of marriage. In his Summa Theologica, question 43, article 2, he says the following: a betrothal can be arranged by the parent without the knowledge of either of the persons being betrothed. Therefore, a betrothal can be arranged before the age of 7 years. So my buddy, you have a problem with the age of Aisha. Why don't you now condemn Thomas Aquinas?
Instead of doing the adult thing and being like, oh, hey, I didn't know that that video was somebody pretending to be you. They came up with that PFP, so I didn't know that that wasn't actually you. I didn't know who you were. But, since this is giving people the wrong impression, I'll take the video down and I'll just post a statement clarifying, hey, that wasn't actually Ishmael. That was an honest mistake. Instead of doing that, which you don't even have to apologize, you could just say, oh, okay, that wasn't you. I'll just take the video down. He doubles down and says this guy is not actually a real ex-Muslim. And then in this video, he makes it even worse by lying about Thomas Aquinas. The fact that he used this quote shows me that he doesn't understand what the Summa Theologica is. And he just took a quote out of it that looked bad and used that, because if he understood what the Summa Theologica is, then he would know that not everything he writes in here is something he believes. So what he's quoting is an objection. It's from objection 1 of article 2 of question 43. And this is something that he later says he doesn't agree with. I'll explain it to you. So what Thomas Aquinas does in the Summa Theologica is he presents a proposition or a question, and he says, I'm going to give some arguments that go against what I think, but I'm trying to steelman the opposing side. So I'm going to give some arguments for why somebody might believe that. So in this case, he's giving arguments for why somebody might believe that you should be able to be betrothed before 7 years old. And then he says, I'm going to give reasons why that is wrong. So what he's quoting, the Muslim apologist, he's quoting St. Thomas Aquinas explaining the opposing position of what he holds. So the whole point of this section is St. Thomas Aquinas saying that is wrong, that you should not betroth somebody before 7 years old. But this shows that he just doesn't understand what the Summa Theologica is. He didn't take the time to read it or understand it. He just tried to cherry pick a quote to make him look bad, because that's the level of apologetics this guy does, apparently. So the question being explored in question 43, article 2, is whether betrothal can be contracted before the age of 7. He gives arguments for and against it, and he says, quote, I answer that, so this is the answer that St. Thomas Aquinas is approving of. I answer that betrothal, as stated above, is a kind of promise or agreement concerning future marriage, and therefore those alone can contract a betrothal who can contract a marriage, or who can make a promise. Now, children of 7 years, as stated above, can for the most part make a promise, because they have sufficient use of reason to understand what a promise is, although they have not perfect use of reason. Wherefore, betrothals can be contracted after the age of 7, but not before, because before that age they have scarcely any or no use of reason. So, did you catch that? In the original video, he says that St. Thomas Aquinas said that you can contract a marriage before 7 years old, that you can get betrothed and married before 7 years old. St. Thomas Aquinas says the exact opposite. Now, a lot of people are like, okay, well, this is still weird. Are you saying that 7-year-olds can be married? No, he's saying that 7-year-olds can be betrothed, meaning they can be promised in marriage. A betrothal is not the same thing as a marriage. A betrothal is a promise to a marriage. As St. Thomas Aquinas clarifies in Article 1 of question 43, he says, quote, I answer that consent to conjugal union, if expressed in words of the future, does not make a marriage, but a promise of marriage. And in question 58, Article 5, St. Thomas Aquinas says that the age of marriage should be 12 for girls and 14 for boys. This is definitely older than Aisha was. She was 9 years old, would not have met the age that Thomas Aquinas sets as the minimum. And also, this doesn't describe anything like a disgusting relationship between a way older male and a much younger girl. Also, even if we don't like St. Thomas Aquinas' standards, we can reject them because he is not a person of authority in our faith. Yes, he's a saint, but he's not a pope or a church council or a prophet. Even if I were to say that St. Thomas Aquinas did say all of the things that this guy says St. Thomas Aquinas said, which he didn't, we could just say, well, that's disgusting, we reject that. And that doesn't affect our faith at all, because St. Thomas Aquinas is not the Messiah or a prophet or a pope or anything like that. Whereas as a Muslim, you can't say what Muhammad did was wrong in marrying a 9-year-old, because he's your prophet. So you are bound to accept that that is acceptable. But ultimately, I wish you the best. God bless you. And I pray that you can come to the true faith and accept Jesus Christ as your savior. For anybody who's interested, who's been following this, I'm actually going to have Ishmael Youssef on a live stream on my channel April 21st. So if you want to watch that, make sure to subscribe. If you want to submit questions for him, go become a member at cafe.sipsofsarah.com. Link is in the description, and you can submit questions, and I will ask those questions to him when we do that live stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. All right. Thanks again for watching. God bless.